Important question.
Honourable David Cunliffe.
The answer to that question is that more and more New Zealanders are disappointed with the performance of this government. That it was in the last 2 weeks that something historic in the life of every government happened. That the right track, wrong track polling crossed over. More New Zealanders now believe New Zealand's on the wrong track than think it's on the right track. And that was confirmed in a TV3 poll this week, which showed 49% think the government didn't have a plan for jobs or growth, and only 46% thought they did. 58% thought they were ruining education, and 40-odd% thought they were doing okay. Now, Mr. Speaker, that is a very important sea change in New Zealand's politics. For the first time since 2008, New Zealanders are saying that they are losing confidence in this government. And the reason is very obvious, because the economy is going backwards. It's going backwards, Mr. Speaker, in any number of dimensions. I'm going to mention a few of them. Firstly, unemployment back up to 6.8%. 162,000 New Zealanders currently unemployed, over 40,000 jobs lost in manufacturing since 2008. Mr. Speaker, if someone doesn't have a job, they not only don't have an income that they can be proud of, they don't have dignity. Mr. Speaker, it is very, very difficult for New Zealanders who've lost their jobs to maintain hope. And that is why they are amongst the many New Zealanders who are saying to the national government, you have disappointed us. You have not lived up to expectations. And this bill, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate you're allowing a pretty broad remit in the way we approach it, this tax bill is an enormous non-entity. The only thing Dr. Smith could say about it was that they tweaked the KiwiSaver contribution rate. They tweaked it down from 4 to 2 and they tweaked it back up to 3 again. How visionary is that, Mr. Speaker? Maybe it was that, Mr. Cosgrove. So, I mean, compare that to Labour's KiwiSaver plan, which would have made KiwiSaver universal by now. It would have increased the savings rate 4 times faster than National's plan. Mr. Speaker, under Labour, the burden of KiwiSaver contributions would shift to a more employer-based scheme. The rate would increase gradually over time at a rate that businesses and workers could afford. And, Mr. Speaker, we would have an enormous pool of capital available for investment in New Zealand businesses. That's one of the reasons the Australian economy is doing better than New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, when John Key was running for office, he told New Zealanders, kiss goodbye to higher taxes, not your loved ones. And what happened, Mr. Speaker? They got higher GST. The richest 10% got 40% of the tax remission. The gap between rich and poor went up, and we added $1 billion to the fiscal deficit because National was spending more than they were taking. Mr. Speaker, in answer to Dr. Smith's last question about fiscal management, National has nothing to be proud of. When they took office, expenditure as a share of GDP was around 30%. By last year, it had grown to 34%, partly because the economy was stagnant, while revenue had declined from 30 to 26%, and they're only forecasting raising it to 28. Why is it that revenue went down so fast? Well, partly because the economy tanked, and partly because those who could afford to pay more got a one-off Christmas gift from their mates in the National Party. Mr. Speaker, jobs are down. Inequality has grown, the fiscal position has worsened, and Mr. Speaker, so many of our regions are doing worse. East Coast, Northland, the Speaker's nodding to me to get back to tax matters, and I will, but Mr. Speaker, can I just add into this, you can only tax what people are getting by way of income. And the median income in New Zealand, for all New Zealanders, fallen $18 a week. That's down 3.7% over the last 3 years. So New Zealanders are, in real terms, poorer now than they were 3 years ago. No wonder they're feeling disappointed. No wonder they're feeling disappointed. No wonder it's harder to make ends meet. No wonder they're getting sick and tired of smug MPs like those opposite saying, hey, tough it out. She's okay. It's worse in countries overseas. Well, where is it worse, Mr. Speaker? Because New Zealand has the second highest current account deficit in the entire OECD, predicted by the IMF to be the single worst current account deficit in the OECD by next year. What does that mean? It means we're not paying our way in the world. We're building up foreign debt every year at a rate faster than any other country, including Greece, Spain, Portugal, and the so-called Southern European basket cases by next year. What a record of shame. So what role does tax policy play? Mr. Speaker, the first issue is courage. The Labour Party has shown time and time again when New Zealand is in need of change, we can deliver it. We did it in the 1930s, we did it in the war years. We did it in the Kirk government of 72-75. We did it in the Longy government of 84 to 90. And we might not agree with everything today, but that was still a government of change. And we did it under the Clark-Cullen government as well. Mr. Speaker, the country's going to call upon the Labour-led opposition once more to offer progressive and pragmatic change for a better future. What will that mean in tax? It will mean pro-growth tax reform. It will mean a capital gains tax system that rewards investment and work and productive business, not capital gains or farming for capital gains. Mr. Speaker, it is not right that the only way you can get wealthy in New Zealand is just to invest in property, because it doesn't make anything. It doesn't export anything. It doesn't enrich our country. It is just a Ponzi scheme where one person is betting off another. The tax system needs to change. Mr. Speaker, we need to reward innovation and investment in innovation. That's why we're looking at accelerated depreciation for short life investments. That's why we're looking at R&D tax incentives, very popular with the private sector, who are resentful and disappointed that it's been replaced by national, putting them through bureaucratic hoops of a grant-based scheme, and they can't understand it. Mr. Speaker, when we go around the private sector and we're talking to them about innovation, they're saying, well, goodness me, why was it that National were the ones who made the bureaucrats the masters of our investment decisions? Why couldn't we just have an R&D tax credit so that we could make the business decisions about what's best for the growth of our companies, and we could get a little bit of help, a little bit of remission from the taxpayer in terms of recognising the risks of R&D? Fair enough. Pro-growth tax reform, capital gains tax, R&D tax incentive, short life depreciation, Mr. Speaker. KiwiSaver needs to go on steroids. Labour scheme 4 times the rate of savings growth as under National's KiwiSaver amendments. Mr. Speaker, and it is disappointing if the only practical measure in this bill that Dr. Smith could refer to was the tweaking of National's KiwiSaver incentive from 4% to 2% and back up to 3%. Mr. Speaker, at least Rob Muldoon said think big. This lot say think small when they think at all. And actually what New Zealand needs right now is a few big ideas. We need a bit of guts. We need a bit of courage. We need to be unafraid to say this isn't good enough. Now, why is it that our colleagues on this side of the House get up every morning and come to work? You know why it is? Because we refuse to accept decline. We refuse to accept that our best days are over. We refuse to accept New Zealand will be managed into statehood of Australia. We refuse to accept that the best thing you could do in a tax bill is to tweak some minute KiwiSaver incentive rather than showing a visionary path to pro-growth tax reform. Mr. Speaker, 160,000 people are out of work, and Mr. Bennett thinks it's a joke. So does Mr. Bennett think it's a joke. And Mr. Bridges, who spent most of question time today insulting the Green Party to boost his run for cabinet. How shallow was that? How shallow was that? So where is National's economic dream team in this debate? Is Mr. English taking a call? Hark, not so. Is Mr. Joyce taking a call? Mr. Moby, is he here? Well, I couldn't possibly comment on that, but I haven't heard him take a call, and I can comment on that. Where is their commerce dream team? You know, the redoubtable Craig Foss. Has he taken a call? No. No, they've left it to the brilliance of Nick Smith, the man they themselves sacked from cabinet, to lead their debate. They don't even trust Simon Bridges with a call. Now, I think that's a bit harsh. He may be a little smarmy, but I actually think he'd be worth a shot. He's got to do better than the other lot. But no, they're not even trusting him with a call. What about some of their thrusting young blood, like Jonathan Young?
Order.
Why couldn't they trust him with a call?
Order.
Mr.
The member's
Speaker?
time has expired.
Oh, what a shame. I was just warming up.
John Hayes.
Future leader. Speaker.